How about we bring on, of course, my weekly colleague here, Sal Paolantonio, the ESPN senior correspondent, NFL game analyst, and the author, of course, of the great book, Philly Special. Sal will be joining us. We have, of course, the usual million things to talk about with him. Can we bring him up here, Tone? Let's get him up here. Sal, how you doing?
Oh, Pat, I'm great. It's always great to join This Week in Pro Football on Thursday nights. Love it. Love your show. Doing a great job. It's fantastic to join. And, you put up that schedule. I like to disagree with you. I always find intriguing matchups in the National Football League, no matter what week it is. And, you only get to play 17 games now.
Yeah.
So, these teams – and the margin of victory is the closest it's ever been since 1932. So we're going back 91 years. So teams are always in these games, Pat. Of course, unless you're the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants.
That is true. Now, we're going to save that. We're going to save that for when we get back from break. But thank you very much for that tease, because you're right. I mean, the Cowboys, Sal, I do want to spend a couple minutes with you talking about this team, because you and I, in week one, when they throttled the Giants, we thought, oh, boy, this could be somebody that stalks the Eagles all season long. But, boy, oh boy, what a performance Sunday night. So I want to get into that with you. But first, I'd like to talk about Eagles-Jets. The Eagles playing a team they're 12-0 against, Sal. And, this could be somewhat maybe a look-ahead game for Philadelphia. But I don't think this team is built that way. Do you see any circumstance? Have you seen enough out of Zach Wilson the last 2 weeks for the Jets to think that this could be a troublesome game for Philadelphia?
Well, you're right on a lot of fronts, Pat. One, this team is not built that way where they look ahead. And two, it's because of Jalen Hurts. Pat, Jalen Hurts in the last 2 seasons has lost 2 football games. 2. And both of those losses were not his fault. I'm talking about the Washington game and the Super Bowl. The defense has let down Jalen Hurts in the offense. Jalen Hurts played at an MVP level in that Super Bowl. He's lost 2. He does not lose football games. And it's the singular focus that he has in terms of preparation, but also execution. I gave you some numbers early in the week. The Eagles lead the NFL in time of possession.
Right.
They are 50 minutes plus in time of possession in 5 games. That's an average of 10 minutes a game in which they have the ball more than their opponents.
Yeah.
They are number 1 in third down conversion percentage in the NFC. It all comes back to the quarterback. When I talked to coaches last week, when they study film of Jalen Hurts, what do they see? They see a guy who comes to the line of scrimmage, looks at the defense, and gets out of a bad play. He's got a photographic memory for preparation, and he's very, very calm at the line of scrimmage, like you said. He's like an astronaut.
Yeah.
His blood pressure never goes up, no matter what the situation. He's an exceptional young man. He's an exceptional leader. I always like to say, if I'm in combat, I want Jalen Hurts as my division officer in battle with my men, because this guy never changes, and he's always prepared to win. Right. And I can't say enough about what you see on film from Jalen Hurts, his ability to dissect pre-snap, get out of bad plays, and put the team in good positions on third down. This is why you're winning time for possession. They demolished the Rams in the second half.
I know they did, Sal. And they also converted, if I remember right, the Eagles had 10 instances in which they had third down and 5 or more, and they converted 7 of them.
Unbelievable. Who does that?
Yeah, that is winning football.
That's the quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. He's just such a steadying influence there. And I think it permeates the entire team, off offense and defense, because the defense knows he's got their back.
Yeah, and he also has a great offensive line. Robert Saleh talked about it this week. An offensive line where 5 players most of the time are together, and they've got 2 guys, in my view, going to the Hall of Fame, Kelsey and Lane Johnson.
Yeah.
This team is built to do something that is rarely done.
That's
and
right.
that is go back to the Super Bowl
Right.
after
That's
a
right.
loss in the Super Bowl.
Rarely done is right. You are correct on that. Now we have a minute here, Sal. Tell me what is it that the Jet defense, which is they have some talent on the defensive side of the ball, the Jets do. What is it in particular that the Jets defense does well that the Eagles will run up against Sunday?
They cover well, so they only have to rush 4. They rush 4 and they play coverage behind it. The problem is a lot of teams try that against the Eagles, but the Eagles' offensive line is too good against a 4-man rush. I don't care unless you got 4 Myles Garretts out there or 4 Nick Bosas. You're not going to get the Jalen Hurts. Pat, I sent this number to you. Jalen Hurts is the most blitzed quarterback in the NFL. Why is that? Because his offensive line is impenetrable. If you send 4, you're not getting to him. You must send 5 or more. That's the definition of a blitz. That's why he's the most blitzed quarterback in the NFL. And yet, he is number 1 in third down conversion in the conference and number 1 in time of possession because he's able to decipher the blitz. The offensive line's able to pick up the blitz, and they beat you.
Yeah, that's right. They beat you. That's exactly right. They beat you. They don't throttle you. They don't kill you. They don't laugh at you. They don't pull up their jersey to show a profane T-shirt. They just beat you. That's what the Eagles do, and there's a lot to be said for it. Sal, when we get back, I want to talk to you about Jaylen Carter. I want to talk about that Eagles rush game. I want to talk about bad turf and those Dallas Cowboys. We're going to do all that with the great Sal Paolantonio next on This Week in Pro Football. Welcome back to This Week in Pro Football, presented by Kennedy Ford and my great Sal Paolantonio, senior correspondent of ESPN, is presented by First Bank of New Jersey. Sal, where we left off, I wanted you to discourse for just a minute on Jaylen Carter. This guy is becoming, after only 5 weeks, a true monster in the middle of the Eagles' defensive line. And the fact that he sat there to Philadelphia at the 9th pick in the draft, I think is something's going to pay dividends for the Eagles for about 10 years. But tell me why, in your opinion, this guy is able to, appears to be able to establish such dominance in the middle of the defensive line.
Well, when you watch Jaylen Carter on film, he has great size, great agility, great first step. He's got a ferocious motor, great attitude of getting after the quarterback and getting behind the line of scrimmage and tackling running backs. He's a penetrator. He's definitely a difference maker in every sense of the word.
Right.
And, Tracy Rocker, the defensive line coach, has just set him free. It's not like, hey, do this, do that. You just do you, and we'll do the rest.
Right.
And that's a perfect formula for a young player like that with great ability.
It is. Now, I'm not getting over my skis here, but he's got a demeanor similar to Joe Green. What I mean is Joe Green played with a hard edge to him. Joe Green was a nasty defensive tackle, Sal. And this guy can be too. And I think he's got physical talent, either equal to or maybe even superior to Green's. So if this guy hopefully stays injury free, I think he could wreak havoc all season long for the Eagles in that defensive line.
Pat, you're not only over your skis, you're like that ski jumper in Wild World of Sports for the agony of defeat, okay? Yeah. You're just way out there, Pat. But I like comparisons of Jaylen Carter to some of the young players that you see in the NFL in the defensive tackle position. And here's what I'll say. He's the best young, I'm talking about first or second year, a rookie defensive tackle in the NFL. He's not Aaron Donald. He's not Jerome Brown. He is the best of his class. And if he continues to be that, then you're right. It will go down as one of the great first-round picks in Eagles history.
Sal, the Eagles have outrushed their opponents.
I knew you would get that reference, Pat.
I'm sure. The Eagles have outrushed their opponents 820 to 306, Sal, in 5 games. Now, some of it is because we just got done talking about guys like Jaylen Carter. Also, because the Eagles get ahead, the opponents can't really rush that much. But a 500-yard differential in 5 weeks. It doesn't take much to do that, Matt. The Eagles are out rushing their opponents by 100 yards a week. Have you seen anything like that in the long memory you have of patrolling NFL sidelines?
Very long memory, Pat, as you know. I have not. I have not. What the Eagles are doing in ball control offense is different for a lot of reasons. And it's not because they have Jim Brown back there.
Right.
They're running Kenneth Gainwell and DeAndre Swift, who the Detroit Lions basically gave up on, and the Lions are 4-1. So what they're doing is a product of Jeff Stoutland's superior run game blocking schemes, the superior offensive line play, and one more very important component that we cannot overlook. You must dedicate a hat on defense to Jalen Hurts running with the football.
Right.
Teams are crashing down on Hurts. They're keying on Hurts. I mentioned that blitz number. He's the most blitz quarterback in the NFL. That includes blitzes on rundowns. They are coming after Jalen Hurts to stop him from running, and that has opened up these gaping holes for DeAndre Swift. And Hurts has been very good, not only at zone read, but RPOs. He's really developed into a guy whose football IQ is off the charts.
Yeah. And Swift has been a major beneficiary of all this. Of course, he stayed healthy too, Sal, something he's not been able to do so far in his career. But you're right. He is. DeAndre Swift is a good running back. I'll say that. He's a good running back. You can see he runs tough. He runs with a forward lean. But the Eagles, you're right. The schematics of the Eagles run game and the threat of Hurts, any time in terms of a read option is so significant that it really, really adds yardage almost every play to the Eagles run game.
Yeah, it's schematics, but it's also athletic ability, size, power.
Right.
It's a rare combination, Pat.
Yeah.
And then, you got a guy who can squat 600 pounds, and they are running that brotherly shove, which I hope they do not ban. That would be a big, big mistake. I know there are a lot of people, purists out there that don't like it. Hey, it's a football play in my view, and they run it well. And, if you want to legislate it out of the game, I think that's not a smart move.
I'd be curious to see, Sal, what happens there. If no other team can replicate it, then the Eagles are going to be standing alone. I could see that.
No other team can replicate it because they don't have a quarterback who can squat 600. And now what you're seeing is what Jason Kelsey said on his podcast, that, teams are going to show up with injuries off of quarterback sneaks. Well, there's never been in the history of the league a higher incidence of injury on quarterback sneaks than in any other football play. Yeah. So if you're looking to nitpick on the brotherly shove, I don't think it's there. They've been running it for 2 years, and the Eagles haven't had one injury. Knock on wood. I know. That's right.
All right, Sal, let's do some quick hits around the National Football League here. Let me start here. Right. Those Dallas Cowboys. It's funny that they're so schizophrenic. I mean, they demolish the Giants. They take care easily of the Jets. They smash New England. Well, those 3 victories look pretty dubious right now, Sal. They go out to Arizona and get punched right in the face. And then Sunday night, a complete disaster. Where is Dallas right now, in your opinion, both as a quality team and psychological?
Well, as you know, Pat, we've been partners for over 20 years. And concurrent to that, I have been the host of the NFL matchup show for a reason. Right. Because the game is about matchups. And I predicted that the Cowboys would get throttled by San Francisco because the Cowboys play man-to-man defense almost 70% of the time. And they were missing their best corner in man coverage, who's injured, Dix. Brock Purdy against man coverage has the top quarterback rating in the NFL for a number of reasons. Shanahan's offense is built to beat man coverage, and he has playmakers like Kittle and Samuel and Ayuk who are built to beat man coverage. Right. The Cowboys had no chance defensively in that football game unless they change what they did. And they didn't, and they got beat. So they're going to now play the Chargers. And they're going to play a guy who's got a very strong, accurate arm, who's held back by his head coach, in my belief. I think his head coach and his coaching staff hold him back. if they go out there on their second trip to the West Coast and lose again, what are we talking about, Pat?
And I think they have a real good chance, Sal, losing again. I really do. I think that defense has not been anywhere near the same since Diggs went down. And I think the Cowboys, and I'll tell you something else, Sal. You and I have just spent, and you laid out perfectly what Jalen Hurts brings to a team. Hurts is multiples above Dak Prescott as an NFL quarterback. I just don't think Dak Prescott can win you a game. Prescott can win a game, but he can't win it for you. I just don't see it. And I think there's more than enough tape to back that up.
Oh, there's definitely results too, Pat. You're absolutely 100% right. I mean, Jalen Hurts doesn't put you in bad situations like Dak Prescott does. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts can get you out of bad situations that Dak Prescott can't get you out of. That's basically the function of an NFL quarterback on those two levels. I can't believe the Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites against the Chargers.
I'm shocked too. Well, it's a home game for them. I guess that might have something to do with it.
No, the Chargers are home, right?
I know, but I mean, the game, but that doesn't mean anything in that stadium, right?
That's I forgot about that.
Yeah, but all right, Sal. Just briefly, I wanted your opinion on this. Aaron Rodgers goes down. Now, look, he was sacked, but still, he went down. He tears that Achilles. Matt Milano of the Bills, non-contact injury. He's out now for a long number of weeks. There's a piece on ESPN.com about turf now. The NFL Players Association is complaining about it. I didn't realize exactly 15 of the 30 stadiums in the league have some form of synthetic turf. Now, you've stood on thousands of NFL sidelines. Do you hear players? Do they talk during a game about this? And do you think the NFLPA is going to insist or try and make this a major issue that teams get back to natural grass?
I think they are going to make it a major issue. I think they are making it a major issue. I have not heard players talk about it during games, but definitely after and before games. And I've talked to them about it numerous times in locker rooms. I stand with the players, 100%. I'm all about player safety in every situation. And to me, the evidence is overwhelming. The players want to play on grass. Listen, Roger Goodell's about to sign a contract that's going to pay him literally $60 million a year. I mean, Pat, that's how rich the NFL is. If they have to change the turf for whatever reason, for a concert, for whatever, when they bring in soccer to these stadiums, they got to play with grass. They're not going to play with grass.
Yeah, the World Cup mandates. It's got to be on grass.
It's got to be grass.
Yeah.
So what are we doing?
Yeah.
You got to help these players out. I mean, this is your investment. Why in the world wouldn't you protect it? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree
from
with
a financial standpoint or common sense standpoint. Doesn't make any sense.
The piece on ESPN.com lays it out that the cost of maintaining a grass field, maintenance costs and the like, are 4 times that of the synthetic surface. But you know what? As you just pointed out, you're paying this guy $60 million. Don't tell me you don't have the money. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I think you're exactly right. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. One other thing I wanted to hit you with before you go, and that is you covered last week that game between the Ravens and Steelers in Pittsburgh. I think that's a fascinating division. Because I think what's going to happen, Sal, and I know I know what this name of the show is, but still, it's fascinating to me because these teams, I think, are just going to beat each other every other week in the intra-division games. And it's going to be interesting to see because I don't think there's a great team in that division. I think the Bengals are still going to be the best team in that division. But how do you see it at this point after 5 weeks?
All right, let's do a quick hit. You ready?
Yeah.
The Ravens are in trouble. They are in trouble because their quarterback can't get them out of trouble throwing the ball on third down. He throws it to the other team when he's in the red zone. He proved that again in Pittsburgh. They don't have wide receivers who are capable. They are in trouble, no question in my mind. They might even lose to the Titans in London.
Right.
Number 2, Cleveland turns the ball over too much. They've got 10 turnovers. That's 3rd in the National Football League. They can't win like that. That's why they'll get, as you said, annihilated by San Francisco this week. Number 3, Pittsburgh is, they're steadying the ship. Right. I like Kenny Pickett a lot. I do. He's got moxie. He's got toughness. and they've got the best defensive player in the division. With all due respect to Myles Garrett, I think TJ Watt is the best defensive player in the position, and he takes over football games. Number 4, Joe Burrow is back.
Right.
The Bengals are back.
Yeah.
It'll be hard to beat Cincinnati now in that division if Burrow is healthy.
Yeah, I think the other teams in that division let the Bengals off the hook. The Bengals opened up 0-3, and nobody got ahead of them far enough. And I think they're going to be heard from. But all right, Sal. Listen, when the matchup show Saturday and Sunday on both networks. Anything special coming up this weekend that people should be especially looking for?
Well, we're in week 6, so we're in the meaty part of the schedule. Darius Butler and Greg Cosell do a great job of breaking down the film. We have a very loyal audience, and it continues to stay at a core audience that loves us. We're on ESPN2 on Saturday mornings, ESPN on Sunday mornings, on demand, on ESPN Plus, on YouTube. You can find us everywhere. Coaches, it's the show that the coaches and the players watch. And the thing is, I always preach to people when they say, "What are you going to do in fantasy football?" Well, watch our show. Right. Because matchups dictate numbers in fantasy football. If you're not watching our show, you're not really that informed about what's going on in fantasy football.
There's 10 million fantasy football shows on. Watch the matchup show. And I want to remind everybody, too, you're looking at the recipient this year of the 2023 Dick Vermeil Lifetime Achievement Award. It's going to Sal Paolantonio. It's awarded at the Otho Davis Scholarship Foundation dinner. Anybody who's interested in going, it's at the Marriott Old City in Philadelphia, Society Hill, November 1st. You can check out more at othodavisfoundation.org. othodavisfoundation.org. Congratulations to Sal. Very richly deserved, Sal. Appreciate it. And thanks for a great segment tonight. And we will look forward to talking to you again real soon. All right. Where are you this weekend? Are you covering it?
That's very nice of you, Pat. Thank you. I'm going to make sure that you get to sit with Commissioner Tagliabue. And,
oh, that's terrific. That would be great.
Yeah, you'll get to talk old school football with the commissioner.
I love that. I love that. Give me all the old school guys, Sal. Just give me everybody. All right.
Got
give
it.
me all them guys.
You got it, Pat. I, of course, am at the number 1 game of the week. Eagles at Jets.
All right. Good for you, pal. All right. Appreciate it, Sal, very much. Thanks again. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sal Paolantonio joining me there. Sal always does a great job. Always well prepared. Always ready to rumble. All right. Listen, we get back. Sean Green's going to join me. Sean Green. We'll talk some props and some picks with the great man himself out west, and Sean Green running some impressive numbers. I'll hit you with them when we get back here on This Week in Pro Football.